This first news story coming from Polygon, written by Michael McWhorter. Everything announced at Pokemon Presents 2025. To be honest, I don't know how much we're actually going to read the article unless we need some details, but it's a nice little guideline for what all was announced if you didn't have a chance to watch through the Pokemon Day Pokemon Presents we got. It's Pokemon Day 2025, and that means a new Pokemon Presents, which is full of reveals and updates on all things Pokemon, including our first real look at Pokemon Legends ZA, a new Pokemon multiplayer game, and more. As usual, there are a lot of smaller announcements and updates to the Pokemon Company's live service games. And here we go. So the first thing on this list, now, I guess beforehand, did you guys have a chance to watch Pokemon Presents?
I snuck it in today.
Nice.
And I will say, with all the Pokemon Presents, I skimmed it.
100%.
I can't sit there for 20 minutes and listen to stuff about Unite. That's like, I have boundaries.
No, 100%. I always watch later. I don't watch it live. So that way, for that exact reason, all the live service stuff, like, I don't need to learn about Pokemon Sleep. I don't need Pokemon Unite.
Yep. I did watch it as well the Thursday morning at like 8:30. It was not a 6 a.m. day for me.
Yeah. But what, I guess before we get in here too, what were kind of your general overall thoughts? Like, were you pretty happy with some of the announcements? Was it kind of just like, it's fine, or bad?
For me, it was exactly that Dewey meme from Malcolm in the Middle, where it's his birthday and he's sitting in front of like a disappointing cake, and he says, "I expect nothing and I'm still let down." Like,
yeah.
I was such mid to low expectations because these usually have almost nothing for me as someone who has played a lot of the Pokemon games from the past and has really gotten frustrated with the direction of the series, mostly with like the less of like the gameplay and mostly how the effort, the kind of the common sentiment of like the effort put in to the quality of whether it's, how the game runs or how it looks from the Pokemon Company and Game Freak. But I was still disappointed because I was even like kind of looking forward to seeing what ZA was like.
Yeah.
As someone who liked but fell off of Arceus.
Arceus was good.
What I saw from ZA, which is the only thing I was really looking forward to, although I did watch the Pokemon Concierge this week because it went to YouTube. And it's really charming.
Yeah.
ZA has me... It looks like it's probably going to be a fun game with cool gameplay, but I don't know how that they continue to release games that look and run like this. Even after admitting... it was crazy that the Pokemon Company, to me, took a little accountability of like, yes, we understand there are some concerns with how this Scarlet and Violet run and look, and yet this is the product they're releasing. That's where I land.
Still just doing it. Yeah, exactly. What about you, Jeremy? What was your kind of sentiment on the overall presents here?
Not for me. Not my Pokemon. No, I don't know. Unite is not my thing. They don't talk about the card game in these.
There is they did just briefly. A little bit.
They did briefly. I must
they
have.
Basically just announced. They just announced the new packs that came out Friday.
Which Jeremy, I know you're opening those bad boys.
Oh my God! I spent $20 right away and opened up 20 packs. I had to get in there. Anyways, I love that Pokemon trading card game Pocket, and I'm gonna play the hell out of ZA, Pokemon Arceus ZA. I played the hell out of Scarlet and Violet as well. I don't know what to say. I wish they looked better. I wish they played better. I wish they just were better. I'm gonna play every single one of them, I think. Part of that is because I bond with my niece over it. We both play the campaigns and trade and stuff. But I just wish it all was just better. It's just such a weird bummer that they can't look textured. Like nothing looks textured in the game. Like you can't touch anything.
I was watching the instead of watching the Pokemon Presents, I watched the Min-Max reaction to it live. Well, not live, but the live recording they did when it aired. It's because they're one of my favorite outlets. I think they're lovely.
Yeah.
And legitimately, in the first shot of the trailer for that game, one of their correspondents, Haley, points out that there's immediate pop-in in the trailer. Yeah. And I'm like, how do you not even just like make sure your trailer looks better than the game's actually going to run?
Right.
But I say all this and I complain. And I know that people were really, from what I heard, people were very positive, including, I want to say Jeremy, about how the game played and the overall quality of like the most recent generation, despite how it looked and performed. And this game could play really great. Arceus didn't look good and it ran terribly, but I think I bought it because it was more in like this sort of like wild world where there's not a lot of people around. But now I'm in a city and I'm like, what? City don't look like this.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think Arceus also looked and played better than Scarlet and Violet, which is a weird thing. It's like they're weirdly so similar, but they're just also kind of these weird differences. And it's like, it's sort of I'm like, are there two teams? There have to be like two different teams making these but then they're also so similar. So it's like, I don't really get it, but yeah, I also am a sucker for this region too. This is the X and Y region, I think. And,
yes, it is.
And that's my second favorite gen. So I'm like,
well, you famously like France.
I love France, baby. Give me a bike. So I'm going to be thrilled to try this one out. I'm not going to lie though, similarly to Connor, I did fall off. I never beat this game, Arceus. So,
yeah. So overall with the Pokemon Presents, I kind of felt, I think similar to you guys, although I had a little bit of hope going in, so it was a little more of a letdown because there were some rumors, which I don't know why I ever believe them, but I just got excited because it's a dream that eventually we can play the old Pokemon games again. So there was like some rumor that either A, they would be coming to Nintendo Online services, or there is some rumor that was going around about like a remake, or not even a remake, but just kind of like a remaster bundle pack for the games. I was like, oh, wow, that'd be so sick. Like I got all hyped up. I'm like, it probably isn't going to happen, but how cool would that be? And then when there was just like nothing, you
opened your heart, Garrett, and that was your mistake, was to be open for love.
Yeah.
Does your family enjoy the Pokemon series?
I do. My oldest, he's 7. He's doesn't quite know how to read well enough to enjoy it yet. He enjoys Pokemon. Like he has cards, like he collects like physical cards. Whenever I'm ripping packs on my phone on TCG Pocket, he's helping me rip them open. So we do bond over Pokemon, but he's not actually played a game yet. I keep telling him, I was like, learn to read. Then, then you can play all the Pokemon games to your heart's content. That's so at this point I'm a solo Pokemon player, but I did love Arceus. I didn't finish that as well. I kind of fell off. I feel like it's a common theme, which is weird because I loved it so much. Like
Same
everything
here.
I played, I really enjoyed it. And then it was almost like something else came out. I got distracted and never went back, which
I'll tell you what I got distracted by in the year of 2022. That was when I had and both of Jeremy will remember and Garrett, you will be in full support of. That's when I had my Metal Gear journey.
Oh yeah, baby. There you go. Yep.
So
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can skip any game you want for Metal Gear. That's fine.
If you spell Solid Snake backwards, it's Ekans, right, Jeremy?
It's Ekans. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Solid Ekans.
Solid Ekans. There you go. Yeah. Fantastic. So overall, like I was bummed on this because I was really hoping for more, and then it was just what we got, which wasn't a ton.
I guess maybe unless Garrett's going to read down the list of stuff that was announced there, I will say if you guys haven't checked out Pokemon Concierge, it's on Netflix, but it's also the first 4 episodes are on YouTube. And I threw that on Friday night as I was working on my PlayStation Vita, and it's not anything spectacular, but the animation's super charming. It's really cute. It might warm our cold dead hearts if you ever need that.
There you go. I did watch the first episode when we had Netflix, and then we got rid of Netflix and I never got to finish it. So if they're on YouTube now, I need to go finish it up.
What's it called again? One more time?
Pokemon Concierge. Jeremy, it's this like stop motion Pokemon show.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of it.
It's wonderful.
Anyway.
Very cute.
It's cool.
So I'm probably not going to read through a ton of this because, as mentioned before, is a lot of live service stuff that we don't care about. But there was a couple notable things. The first one I want to talk about here is Pokemon Champions, which the Pokemon Company announced a new title focused on Pokemon battles inspired by the core series game. Pokemon Champions will let trainers from around the world pit their Pokemon skills together. Skills against each other across mobile devices and Nintendo Switch. It even connects with Pokemon Home, letting players bring over Pokemon from other games. Game Freak is overseeing the development of Pokemon Champions, which is being handled by the Pokemon Works. And I saw in another article it being compared to like Pokemon Stadium and stuff like that, Pokemon Coliseum type game, which if that's the case, I love those games. Like those were fantastic. If it's kind of like a spiritual successor to that. Now, my worry is it's actually probably more like multiplayer than those, like where you just jump into battles. They didn't really give a lot of details, but
yes.
I don't know. Did you guys, did this strike your fancy at all? Or were you just kind of like, nah, like not for me? Because I know, because if it is like purely multiplayer, like, yeah, I don't know if does that even interest you? Like just to basically jump in and battle with random people around the world in a Pokemon battle real quick, or?
Yeah, my instinct is to say not for me, but if it's a fun way for people to jump in battles and just exercise that muscle, cool. I'll be curious to see what are the rosters made of? How do you even, are they Pokemon that you can like sort of transfer a clone over from games you've already played? I think it has some connectivity with Home.
Yeah, so it does have Home. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a clone. It usually, like, unfortunately, the way Home usually works is it's you full on like transfer it out of whatever game you have it in and then move it to another world, essentially. But
yeah, you change the custody of your Pokemon. I don't know, not particularly for me, but I'll be interested to like follow what it ends up being.
Now, if it does have single player component and it is like a Coliseum game or Pokemon Stadium, would you be more interested?
I think the answer is yes, because I really do enjoy the Stadium games. And I even playing with like rental teams, I've had a lot of fun with that in the past.
Yeah. What about you, Jeremy? Did this strike your fancy at all?
No, but I could be swayed. If it comes out and it lights the world on fire and it's really good and everyone loves it, I could be convinced. I think I never played the Stadium games growing up. So that was a big blind spot for me. And didn't, even at the time, understand the appeal. And then much later kind of get it, but never. Yeah.
I never played Stadium, but when I got a GameCube, I got Coliseum.
Ooh.
And I loved that game. That game was so much fun. I mean, that opened up the world to like Shadow Pokemon. Like, is that one of the earliest games where that's even introduced? Like, I'm trying to think of even before that. There was.
I wonder if it was it that or was it Gale of Darkness that did that?
It might have been
the other GameCube title.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah, and I love that because that was really like for me, the first 3D Pokemon game I'd ever played, because you just go wander around the world, you're catching Pokemon, you're building your teams out to a certain extent. Love that game. So if it is like in that vein, and if it's a mobile game, is it going to be free to play? I don't know. Maybe not. There's a lot of things that could go right with this. If it's like, it's free to play or even cheap on iPhone, I'd pick it up if it's more single player focused or has some like adventure aspects to it. But there's also a lot that I feel like could go wrong with it as well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one. The next thing announced was, or not the next thing we're going to talk about is the Pokemon Legends ZA. We already kind of shared a little bit, I guess, our sentiments on that, but real quick little blurb. We finally got a look at gameplay and release window. The upcoming Switch game set in the Kalos region's Lumiose City. Players will select from starters Totodile, Chikorita, and Tepig, and explore a city undergoing a high-tech urban redevelopment that caters to both humans and Pokemon. Pokemon Legends ZA will include Mega Evolutions and is slated for release in Nintendo Switch late 2025. Now, I assume they say Nintendo Switch, but Do you think this will be a split launch, Switch and Switch 2? Or do you think they just don't want to say it's a Switch 2 game yet? Because technically the Switch 2 hasn't been like fully announced.
I mean, it looks like a Switch 1 game. I'll tell you that right now. So
It does kind of look like a Switch 1 game.
It looks so fucking bad. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry for
it's
cussing.
fine. It looks bad. Yeah, it looks that bad.
Yeah.
You're spot on with that.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I kind of can't believe that the window for the... I mean, maybe that's just when this game is projected to be ready. And it's unfortunately when we are theoretically going to be months into the Switch 2 generation, because we still don't know when that comes out. We'll learn probably on April 2nd when they do the Switch 2 Direct. But man, that game coming out in, I don't know, November, December on the new console, there's a lot of concern there, but maybe they just don't care. And it's also the Pokemon company. It's probably not really Nintendo. It's not Nintendo who's dictating this release window, so who's to say?
Yeah. I don't know. My hope is that it would be coming to Switch 2, because it seems wild. Like, hey, everyone's gonna be stoked about this new hardware, get this new hardware, and then they're like, oh, and here's a Switch game from our own.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, wait, what? The first Pokemon game we're gonna be able to play on here is not even a Switch 2 game? Seems crazy. But I also agree, you'd think it would look a lot better. Unless they don't want to show gameplay from the Switch 2, because maybe it is on both. Maybe it's higher performing on Switch 2 but until that Direct happens, they don't want to show us that.
That would, no, I
that
don't
sounds
think
dumb,
so.
But
They're just lowering our expectations.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it just is probably. I bet. And what do you guys think about Metroid Prime 4? I think that's a interesting question too. Do we think that's going to have a Switch 2?
I still don't know what their
grade.
I don't know.
I would like to think the reason it's been delayed so long is because it is Switch 2 and they just haven't. Because other than that logo reveal, we haven't had any other update. Like, it was supposed to come out last year and they never said anything. It just never came out and they've kept their mouth shut. So I'm hoping the fact that we haven't heard anything about it, it is a Switch 2 game now. And because they already announced, hey, we've restarted development. Like, that was like 2 or 3 years ago. And then maybe they're like, hey, let's just start over on the new console. That's what I think. That's what I hope. I hope it's just a Switch 2 title. Even if it's a launch title, that'd be sick. Imagine that at the Direct that comes up. Is that in April? That
would be really cool. April 2nd at 6 a.m. So good. I'm not like, do I have to wake up at 5:50 on that day? Come on.
Oh man. Yeah. I hope that's the case with that game, because it was originally supposed to be coming out last year, and then I love how it's just like, and we're not going to say anything about it. This guy came and went. No, didn't talk about it. But yeah, Pokemon Legends EA gameplay wise, I don't know. I think the setting is what throws me off the biggest too. Just to kind of wrap up my thoughts on it, there was something about Arceus being so far in the past and being this an interesting new world, where this is, I guess, also a new world, but it just, I don't know. To me, there was like scenes where it just looked post-apocalyptic. Like, it was like weird, like the wild areas of the city where it's just like, is this The Last of Us with Pokemon? Like, what's going on? Like, this is really weird, like set pieces and stuff, and they were running around. It just didn't make sense. Didn't really click for me. I either want it like, more wild and open, or just give me straight city. I don't know. It just seemed like a weird mix at times, but I'm also not super familiar with this world. My last Pokemon games were like Ruby and Sapphire. I never got a DS or 3DS growing up. I mean, I do now. I have a 3DS, and so I've started going back and playing some of those older games, but at the time, like, I don't have the nostalgia for that. You know, I had XY, Black Y, anything like that. I don't know much about those generations other than what I pull in my TCG pocket packs, you know? So that's about it. Any last thoughts on that before we move on here? All right. Well, everything else is live service stuff. If you want your Pokemon Cafe Remix news, or Pokemon Sleep news, find another podcast, I guess, or go read this article from Polygon. Thank you so much for watching that clip from our podcast. Remember, if you want to watch the whole episode, the full episode, link will be in the description below. You can click on that and check it out. We got listener questions. We got more news segments. We got what you playing. We got a lot of fun things. So yeah, more than just the news. There's a lot more to the show that you should go check out. So remember, click that link in the description. Check out that full episode.